February 25th, 1206 District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Sorry, Edgeworth. Didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. It's the cops! And I want payback on Gant too. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. But I want you both to kick Gant's ass if you guys can get in trouble.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You gotta laugh at her making a detective on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happy people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you on errands again? Let me tell you this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. Number one, no evidence shall be shown without approval of the police department. No. You could at least study some evidence, really? Chief Prosecutor wanted me to give you this message. She said if you're gonna plan on taking him on, you're gonna need this book and the fact of, and also it's the cops.
Him? I guess I'll need to get the book to read though.
Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left is the Chief Prosecutor's sentence.
That's where you're wrong, Detective.
Huh?
Haven't you figured it out? Why I'm still in the prosecutor's seat despite all these allegations being thrown at me?
Mr. Edgeworth?
The real trial today hasn't even begun yet.
What? What else is left to do? You couldn't these have been ruined with all that this forged evidence that you are unaware of. MS Guy was found she was unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal!
You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman.
What?
She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there.
What?
We're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. And we're going to end it on the troublemaker's skull. Like a 20-ton animal. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye, who is innocent. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your action. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Very well, normally this is where the prosecution goes, but, this isn't easy to say. You seem there concerned that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witness? I didn't say that! It's just that you see everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. The solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But that's... there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Okay, let's bring it. I know first person we bring. We should bring in the big guy. The one that I want to understand. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Let's take Sophie, Chief of Police. Very well, the defense accepts the prosecution's proposal, and I want to call upon somebody. Well, the defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, make it count. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to this. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? Everything. As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, he has everything to do with it. I have a feeling he has everything to do with what happened 6 years ago and what's happening now. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have manipulated me have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff. Please escort Mr. Gant here. And if he doesn't, please feel free to remind him of my tentacle monsters. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What, is this kind of some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation. Sir! Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Name and occupation! Now! So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant! Fine. My name is Damon Gant, and I'm the acting chief of police. Now, now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's wrong with that, the grim face? First, let's clear up this this LCL9 incident, followed by the L6, followed by your mom, followed by the next thing. Oh, you mean the time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like your role in this whole mess. What? Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons, yes, like your guns, which you don't have available. Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What, is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse testimony. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry. I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. The power of outage didn't help either. When I went to my honest, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is it obvious? Is that when Doc was arrested? He was laying on the floor unconscious. And when Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Doc bumped his head and broke his crown. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. Oh, and Judge, you're lucky I didn't. I cooperated. I did not want a tentacle monster attack. Good. I didn't want to send him out anyways. If the chief police says it, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. And if he had no right, if he had no. Where's the evidence list? Ah. And then how come half of this was in your desk? If you had no light. Explain yourself. Several this is evidence were found in your office. Like half of this list. That's the list that Emmett Sky drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of the jar that was sitting in your office was found in your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these are articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what is the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival worthy. So you admit it then? That you were involved with the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only one who's capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do it, and so too. Isn't that right, righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even a detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dickett will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Well, yes, well, in the light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and I will not allow you to punish Detective Dick Gumshoe for anything he is innocent of, and if you do, I will punish you by deducting all of your salary and that you had and putting it into his salary. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see. Let's see, a jaw fragment. And a list. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, they're worthless. Arranging a crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been careful to observe. You do understand that I'm the chief of police, right? Oh, indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today's, well, you know. Alright, Edgy. I'll in return, though. I know, the police, right?
about? Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there's one very large benefit from you've reaped from all this.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. What's this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have as Chief of Police. Oh, intriguing.
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That is in itself sufficient motive.
Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you realize, you think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SO9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that Chief Edgeworth?
Yes.
He was going to be made chief anyways. God! Be careful where you're pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there was only one possible motive for you to commit forgery. You didn't do it for yourself. Then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There's only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Gee, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I'll make sure to hand you a shovel while you dig your own grave. And I'll let Tentacly know that you're getting ready.
It's nothing in it for you.
Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly.
That girl Lana's little sister, was it?
If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be a little lax on yourself, though.
Ho, ho, ho. Ooh, that's a good one, Worthy.
Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would it... True, you might not have helped anyone out for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might have decided to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you are positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. And by hand, I mean their own grave. That's not what I meant.
Actually, yes.
Oh, well, then who's the belief Mr. hoped to forge evidence? Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky, the defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious, in the light of circumstances. Emma Sky fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have had a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. The reason is of course, self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Sky was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Well then, I guess I have a puppet for him. Get Tentacly! I said get him! Oh, wait. You mean puppet as in somebody who's forced to do his bidding? Never mind. Admit it, Chief. You assisted the honest guy in forging evidence. Please keep technically put up. We don't need a tentacle monster out here right now. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you can control her. Righto, my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. Unless that is also you want what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course, I'm talking about the Goodman murder. The chief has been acting strange throughout this entire almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. And only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Mr. Gant! Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Mr. Gant is a upstanding swimming enforcement. This is the highest-ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. You accuse the chief of blackmail and murder. That is impossible. Not really, but I just wanted to say it. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. We have proof, too. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see! Alright then, let's see what Mr. Wright's got. I just wanted to look at that real quick before we whip out this evidence that we going to. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There's one ID on the list that we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry about that. There's no way you can prove the number. That's my card number. It is your number. What? What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Scott's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean? I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same number as the ID, the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will determine Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, So you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I am the chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman would have happened to be with you that day, wouldn't he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him all in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant? I'm afraid you just did on yourself. On that day, you had to have met Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial is the purpose to determine Lana Sky's guilt? No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial is purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing: what transpired during that meeting. In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to ask you for evidence shows proof that the victim met with Chief Gant that day. Okay. Okay, I thought because we knew he lost his. Detective Goodman lost his ID card that day. Or maybe, to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give it to that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure that he filed it. He filed it. How did I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Ooh! Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you have to say next. I, Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Yep. What? Wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have... Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. You had really lent it to Detective Goodman. It would have been found on his body. No! No! Chief Gant, you did it! The murderer was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting something, Mr. Wright. The victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana Scott stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. So you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you take the see a dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the prosecutor's office. As a useless clue taking up space. This is how you moved it. A parking stop, Miles Edgeworth? You mean... God! The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. God! I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. God! You mean I carried the victim's body unknowingly? Precisely so. But wait, even you know, I didn't plan on returning to my office after the ceremony finished that day. But you did return. Tell me why. Ah! God! So you see, when you were really taking to the prosecutor, it wasn't the screwdriver, but the victim's body in your trunk. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Edgeworth's car unknowingly? Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation. Which would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation: to transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Sky. Order, what's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? It must be true, then. Think back to the photograph of Miss Lana Sky took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It's the exact opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe. Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Lotto, but I'm having lunch at the District Attorney General's after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But this cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking it like... What? Is not the right to be taken casually invoked? There are certain risks to be considered, and you are in violation of all of those risks. You are guilty! Tentacle monster is going to do... Stop. We don't want any tentacle monsters out right now. We'll take care of this. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then you show your proof and get it over with. I'll say this again, Miss Wright. Gant is the current chief of police. This course will... Without proof, well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, you have any concrete proof that Chief Gant... Yet, we have none. No, Your Honor. At this moment, we have no current test. See, G. In that case, the court is forced to penalize you for elegance. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. And it seems Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Edgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is a... Lady Luck, maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind the show, and we haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth, another witness. In absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? I can't say. Why are you asking me, Your Honor? I can't say anybody because I am, of course, accused of tampering with the witnesses. I can't call her to prove, and I am keeping myself out of calling the witnesses today because I'm given that duty of calling witnesses. It's all right. That's a witness. Can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, we have somebody. Lana, get your rear up there. The defendant, Miss Lana Sky, she was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. She was her task is to dispose of the victim's body in accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well then, the court will now take its final recess for the day. 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in... Hold on. Huh? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This is good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims, right? Just something to think about. Alright, then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Threatening a witness? I will press this another one, which will that I have that will immediately release every weapon in from Final Fantasy after a specific target of my choice, and I will choose you, Damon. Why aren't they going? Did somebody kill off all the weapons? Okay, court is in recess until I figure out what's going on with that button. Bing, 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 bing. February 25th, 2:04 p.m. This looks like we managed to stay in this game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgy. It's a cops! That chief, he's something else, hey, pals. Detective Gumshoe? Ha ha ha! I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided to work now. At your office, pal! 'Cause it's a cops! My office? Sure! I'll take the place of that knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief gets done it again. Who is it? He always gets the upper hand. Is that fair? He has the right to refuse to testify? Settle down, alright? Remember what the judge said. But Chief, that's not right. It to be casually involved. There's certain risks to be involved. Oh, yeah, do that. Risks, what does he mean by that? Simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits the right to say anything, too? Ooh. Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was medical office. From what I've been listening to in from the trial gallery, so she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know it's funny. I must feel relieved. Relieved? Yeah. Now I know what truly happened. I think all this time my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man, and she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment to the chief prosecutor, everybody knew her and said she changed. Perhaps it was easier for that way for.
What do you mean, pal? What do you mean?
What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's order. He must have shut herself up deep inside to force her to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It was all because I murdered this.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. It's the defense! We're gonna get you. I'm changing my order now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. And also socialism. For some reason, blame them too.
Chief Gant got me. I'd be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see.
Well, we better get back it. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait? No, I'm going with you. Huh? I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this.
It's the cops!
We'll see you all in the next video.